What was he doing down there? Since childhood, we have watched many such videos on YouTube exploring haunted places, most of which are about ghosts. But sometimes a few of these videos are genuinely terrifying. Well, there's another such video I want to talk about here, and it actually comes from this boy's channel. Let's call him Christopher Brian Hills, because that's his real name. Christopher runs a YouTube channel where he explores abandoned places. One day he decides to visit an abandoned factory that is already quite famous, as many users have previously made videos about it. So Christopher decides to go there and make his own video, but instead of going during the day, he chooses to go at night, which is always a bad idea. What happens to Christopher after that? I'm not sure if it's real or fake, but whatever it was extremely creepy. The video begins with Chris deciding to enter the abandoned factory, and we see him roaming around the building. It's risky to go there at night because a dangerous animal could be lurking around, or it could be something like what you saw in my first video. Anyway, while Chris is wandering outside the factory, he hears gunfire coming from somewhere far away, which is already a bad sign.
Yeah, somebody's shooting. Cleveland. Wow. That's crazy.
Ignoring all this, Chris begins to enter the building. Now you might wonder, why isn't he scared? Well, that's because this kind of stuff isn't new to Chris. In the area where he lives and in most of the places he has explored, these things keep happening over and over again. So it has all become completely normal for him. Ignoring the sound of gunshots, Chris enters the building and sees a bed lying there, which means at least one person is, or was, definitely living there. He then explores the first floor and moves on to the second. The place is absolutely dead silent, so much so that Chris can't hear anything except his own footsteps. Anyway, after checking out the second floor, Chris decides to head to the basement, and that's when things start to get a little creepy. First of all, the entire basement is severely damp. The floor is covered in water and dirty mold is spread everywhere. Then Chris starts complaining that he's hearing a strange sound from somewhere. Later in the video, he even finds some bullet shells down there, which makes the situation even more frightening.
Okay, I'm hearing something. Maybe it's an animal. I'm sure this animal's down here. Look at this. Shells. Damn, they're all over the ground.
But Chris ignores this too and keeps moving forward. Then he begins to notice strange writings on the walls. The hallways are getting narrower and narrower, and then, at the very end of the path, something terrifying happens to Chris.
Yo, you need some help, bro? Yo. Fuck that. He's not even responding. I'm gonna leave him alone. Get the out of his way. Damn, bro, that's crazy.
As you saw, after exploring for some time, something very creepy happened in front of Chris. He notices that in a far-off corner where there's no light, a man is sitting, hunched over. When Chris calls out to him, the man doesn't respond or even look back. Because of this, Chris does the logical thing. He quietly leaves the area. But things don't end there. In fact, they only start to escalate. Because then Chris does something incredibly foolish. He decides to go back and offer the man some money, thinking it might help him somehow.
That's actually kind of sad. You know what? I'm gonna help that dude out. I'm gonna leave him some money. See what I got. get this dude a $20 bill. Yo. Yo. Hey, I got some money for you. Shit, he's not there. And he's not responding. Damn it.
So when Chris returns to help that man, he sees that the man is no longer there, which makes the situation even more disturbing, because now that man could be hiding anywhere. He might be stalking Chris, watching him in secret, or waiting for the right moment to attack. Another creepy detail is this: if that man actually lives here, like the bed we saw at the beginning suggests, then he knows this place far better than Chris. He would know which hallway leads where, and he could ambush Chris at any time, from anywhere. And there's one more thing I'd like to point out. Remember the sound of gunfire at the beginning of the video? That man could be part of a gang. He might have run and hidden in this abandoned factory to escape that shootout. And if he sees Chris as a threat, he might attack without hesitation. Anyway, after all this, Chris starts looking for a way out. He notices a lot of bats flying around the area, but there's something else. Something very strange happening in the background that Chris apparently doesn't notice, but the camera definitely captures it.
Let's keep going. There's a lot of bats down here too. Damn. Shit.
As Chris enters one of the rooms, we can clearly see the same man standing near the doorway, but unfortunately, Chris doesn't notice him and walks right past. Later, when Chris finally finds a way out, he spots the same man again, this time roaming around outside. And just as Chris is about to leave, he suddenly hears a phone ringing from somewhere inside the building. This suggests that there might be more than one person inside, which makes the situation even more terrifying. But luckily, nothing happens to Christopher. He manages to walk away safely.
Mellified man.
You all must know about Wikipedia. There's a Wikipedia page for almost everything on the internet, whether it's a celebrity, a movie, or something else. But sometimes some of these Wikipedia pages are downright disturbing. They might be about a killer, a mystery, or something similarly dark. Now, if I talk about one specific Wikipedia page, it's actually about an ancient medicine, a miraculous remedy believed to cure any type of disease. Even if your arm or leg is broken, this medicine supposedly can fix it. And I'm sure many of you would be curious to know about it, and maybe even want to try it. So, let me tell you what this medicine is made from. It's called the Mellified Man, and as the name suggests, the medicine is literally made from a human being. The process of making this medicine is around 100 years old, and it's very unusual. First, you need a person who is willing to sacrifice their body because the medicine cannot be made forcibly. It must be voluntary for it to work. In the first step, the chosen person stops eating and drinking everything except honey. They are even bathed in honey. According to legend, after some time, this person's urine, stool, saliva, and sweat start to taste like honey. Due to this horrible diet, the person eventually dies. After death, their body is placed in a coffin filled with honey. The coffin is sealed and left undisturbed for 100 years. After those years, when the coffin is opened, the Mellified Man medicine is ready, something that could be sold for a very high price because of its supposed healing powers. This sounds really strange, melting a person down to make medicine, but these practices were common in ancient times. There's no actual proof that this worked, but it is believed that this medicine was used. Demon face syndrome. Now imagine you're out of the house, in a very crowded place, surrounded by many people. Suddenly you notice that the face of the person standing right in front of you is terribly distorted, almost like a devil's face. Then the faces of everyone around you start to distort as well, all turning into demonic shapes. This isn't a movie script. It's a real mental condition called demon face syndrome. What happens in this condition is that a person's ability to recognize or remember faces deteriorates completely. As a result, the faces of people they see start to appear demonic or distorted. When researchers asked patients to describe what these distorted faces looked like, the patients used Photoshop to create images representing their perceptions. Here are some examples they provided. This syndrome exists in different varieties. In one variety, a person's own face appears distorted to them, while others see it as perfectly normal. In another variety, one side of a person's face appears normal, but the other side looks completely demonic. Interestingly, patients reported that they can see faces clearly on their phone screens, but when the same person appears in real life, their face seems disordered or distorted. Fortunately, this condition is extremely rare. Only about 88 cases have been documented to date, so we can safely say that demon face syndrome is very uncommon, and hopefully it never happens to me or you, because if it did, my condition would only get worse.